Hey guys, hope you guys had a phenomenal month of February. It's already March, the third month of the year. Um, I'm putting this video together today to kind of talk about how the month of February has been for me, while really kind of touching on some questions that I've been asked, and that's around, obviously, how TopStep has been for me. February was the first month of using TopStep for me, and want to kind of share a bit of that experience. And obviously, short update I will say is that it's been positive. I love the platform, very user friendly, and all that stuff. And I'll get into that in a bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about Tradeify and what that has meant to me as a prop firm that I've been using. And then overall, just want to touch on a little bit of the price action from this week that I haven't really been able to trade much. I attempted to take some stabs at it, but trying to trade with the flu is not the best idea. I made some mistakes, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. But I'm going to start off and really kind of go in. And as you can probably see here on the screen, this is TraderStat. So I've been talking a lot about this in my videos, and I've been talking about it in Discord as well as Instagram as well. It's the preferred day trading journal that I use today, and I recommend for many. Uh, very low cost to entry, great price, and honestly, when you look at the market for what's out there, I know there's some very popular brands out there that I've used as well, and those are all great platforms as well. But for me, this, for the price you're getting, does exactly what I needed to do. And I'm looking forward to the evolution of some of the things that the developer's working on. And anyways, I won't share too much of that because I'll let him share that when he's fully complete and updated. But what you see here is essentially the my homepage with TraderStat. So kind of quick summary there, kind of who I am and all that type of stuff, and also my P&L performance for the first couple months of the year, which it's honestly it's been humbling. It's been an spectacular 2025. High level summary for those watching for the first time. I started trading futures just August of last year. Now, although I've been trading small caps since 2021 and options in 2023 onwards, the past 6 months, 6 months is that correct? August, yeah, a little bit over 6 months now, has been an amazing journey, right? It was a struggle for a while there. For the first 4 months. I know that doesn't seem like a long time to most people, but obviously I'm not fresh on the street trader. I have been trading for a couple of years, but just kind of figuring out, futures, the mechanics of it, as well as understanding how prop firms work. That's anyways, there's a whole journey around that, but I set myself a goal for achieving $50,000 as a P&L, and I achieved that. Again, I want to make it very clear this is not what's been paid out to me. So I did not make $50,000 in terms of payouts. I post that on Instagram, so anyone who's been following me, you guys already know what my payouts look like. I've been very transparent about that. But I want to achieve 50,000 as far as P&L performance among the prop firms that I'm using. And currently today, when you look at February, that this P&L consists of majority Tradeify and TopStep, with a little bit of my funded futures as well. And I say a little bit because there is really only one account in there, and that's the account that I've technically already been moved on from. I'm pending to move live at the moment with my funded futures, which is an exciting next milestone for me as well. But anyways, that's what that is. I know people are probably looking at the January one and saying, "Holy crap, what a difference!" And why did they do worse? To be perfectly honest, January I was operating on three to almost four prop firms. I was on My Fund of Futures, Tradeify, Fund of Futures Family, and was just migrating into TopStep at the same time. And so January was also when I capped out with Fund of Futures Family, which is, again, for those who follow me knows already that I'm just pending to be moved live with them as well. Because I capped out there so fast, that's what actually contributed to more than half of that P&L that's there. Anyways, I'm not going to go into too much talking about that as because that's not the purpose of my video today. But anyway, so this is kind of just what I'm working with, right? And so overall, the month of February, 65% win rate, a healthy one at that. Not my best win rate, but very healthy nevertheless, because that's spanning across all my prop firms combined. A profit factor of 2.42. So, again, our multiple is very healthy as well, as the win-loss ratio. Now, for those who trade, you guys know that you can be successful with a low win rate. You can be successful with a high win rate. It really just depends on your trading style. Even myself, I'm still trying to figure out what is my preferred preference and all of that. And I'll probably continue to share that on my journey along the way. But I'm gonna hop right into it. So TopStep. Now I posted on Instagram about how I made $26,000 in payouts on TopStep in the month of February. So I'm not gonna dive into a little bit about that. I'm not gonna go into every one of the accounts, but I will go into this one. This one is the among the four accounts that I have, which by the way, for those who don't know already, that I individually trade. I do not copy trade, and just to kind of show a little bit about what I mean by that. Oops, I guess I probably should go back here again. Let me move this window. Um, in terms of TopStep, you can already see, actually, it's probably easier for me to show it this way, so that's a little bit more transparent. But for those who know already, as you can see here, I'll look at this TopStep account. You can see that, 5,000 PNL, 66% win rate. If I were to go to the other one, the 150K account, it's 6,800, 64% win rate. The other 100K account, 13,000, 59% win rate. So you can see they're all different. So if I copy traded, obviously they would all mimic exactly the same. So some people ask me the question saying like, do you really individually trade? It's hard to believe that you're doing that and you're successful because how much opportunity does the market present? And I know that's a little crazy, but there is a method to this madness. It's just too much to explain for one video, so I won't go through that too much today. But I want to touch on this one because out of the four accounts that I have with TopStep, this is my best performing one. Not just really from a P&L perspective, but also just from a stats perspective. Um, Kind of even going through it, you can kind of see where in terms of like when I hold my winners, how long I can hold them for, and my longest trade was apparently held for what 4 hours almost. So that's crazy, obviously. And if you take a look at when I do have losers, though, I do call them quits quite early on. If I haven't figured out that it was a loser within the first 10 minutes, then I mean I don't know if I'm that's not really healthy. The way I look at this is huge improvements. If you were to look back at my stats back from like back in October, September, you would see that I'd have losers that are an hour long, and that's not good. And I'm not saying that that should be a very black and white statement to be made, but I find that with my trading style, if I'm wrong, I should be wrong pretty early on. Like there's a method to my entries, and if my entry and execution was poor, then I should really just take the loss and move on to the next trade, right? And so that kind of reflects my methods as well in regards to that. And then going into just the breakdown of trades, you can kind of see now it gets a little confusing sometimes when you look at trades with futures because it's not as simple as just saying, for example, you see Tuesday, it says $447, you see five trades. That Tuesday, that could be the New York session for Tuesday, but that could also be mixed in with the Asia session that opens 2 hours later after the New York session closes, and also actually, yeah, it could be a mixture of the Asia session and the New York session. So, anyways, I'm just explaining that because it can get a little bit confusing. But nevertheless, if you take a look at this, I mean, first week 3K, second week 4.6K, following week 5.5. You can kind of see overall, pretty consistent and healthy, even though there are L's. The L's are fairly small, right? And so this account, played a big contributing factor to the success for me. But I also had another one of my accounts, and I think I shared this already, but where I had my 10K day, that's also obviously what contributed to the success of the payouts that I received in this account. So overall, I think why I've liked TopStep so far. I think TopStep X honestly is a very user-friendly platform, and for those who like to trade mobile, probably the best mobile platform you can find out there. And obviously, you can't don't quote me. I mean, I've traded with, like I haven't mentioned the prop firms I mentioned already. That's four prop firms in total, not including Take Profit Trader, Apex, right? Like I've tried all of them. TopStep X is just so user friendly. So if you haven't used them already, if you're worried, I definitely give it a shot. It's a great platform to use. Their accounts also are fairly affordable. A 50K account is about $49 USD, and then 149 for the activation, assuming that you pass. I think that's super attractive for new traders because like you don't want to, the other accounts like My Fund of Futures has accounts that are like the expert accounts that are probably the closest thing I can mimic to it. That would cost a lot more upfront. But however, obviously there's no activation fees on that end. So I guess if you're a great trader and and you're very consistent, and you can pass your evals, no problem. I would still go with My Fund of Futures expert accounts because based on the price you're getting, there's literally no rules. And so those accounts are basically the closest thing you're going to get to a live account where you can, make unlimited amounts, no consistency rules, none of that, other than just, payouts that are straying along between 14 days onwards, right? But with TopStep, I would be a close second, right? I think that if you can get over the fact that there's the activation. I mean, again, if you're learning this process, a $49 and then if you fail that evaluation, you're gonna go for another $49. That's a lot cheaper than spending, $300 on an expert account that you could potentially blow in a couple of days or so, right? So, anyways, just sharing my experience, my personal opinion on that. I also think that, what the unlimitedness of being able to make as much as you want on top of accounts are also really great. Again, there's really no consistency rule. The only two things that you really need to account for is once you're funded, you got to make sure that you make your $200 per day for 5 days, and then you're allowed to request for a payout. Your maximum payout is either $5,000 or 50% of your account balance, whichever is the least of the amount. You cap out at 5,000 per withdrawal essentially, but well, anyways, overall, I think that that's pretty fair, all things considered. And I think they recently put up an update as well that don't quote me again. I think it's if you withdraw five straight payouts, I think that they gives you a very high chance of being moved to live from that point on. But anyways, again, overall, I like the platform. I'm going to continue using them because, as of right now, I don't have Fund of Futures Family since I'm pending moving to live. I can't use my Fund of Futures account anymore because I'm also pending live. So right now, it's just TopStep and Tradeify are the only two platforms. Personally, I don't care for Take Profit Trader and Apex too much. Again, just my personal style of trading. I don't like trailing drawdowns and all that. But again, great platforms I'm sure that you can use as well on those end. The other thing I want to talk about was just Tradeify. With Tradeify, I've had my longest standing account now is going on almost 50 days now, I think. And they also announced what their live trading program is going to look like, which is super exciting as well. I'm hoping I'm have one day be able to be called to live for that as well as I build up these accounts. And the reason why I think that's crazy is because for them, I think they're the first prop firm in the industry to actually provide more than one live account. They're actually start you off with two, and then from there you even have the ability to grow into more live accounts. So to be able to trade live accounts like you're leveraging prop firm accounts, that's industry leading, right? So that's super exciting. And so just knowing that their live is going to be like that, I've already started kind of actually pivoting and changing up my style a little bit about how I trade my Tradeify accounts. Up until this point, I mainly only trade Tradeify during the Asia and the London session. Reason being is because with the way that their payouts work and their rules for the amount of days they trade, I actually only do Asia and London because I'm really only looking for 15 to 30 point change trades, and that's all I need. And I do that every single day, get my base hits or my trades or whatever that looks like, right? And I get to my payout, right? And so I'm very, very content with that. It works for me, but and then sorry, let me backtrack that a little bit. I'm content with that. And then so in the past, the accounts that I mostly traded New York session with was Funded Futures Family. That's how I maxed my accounts as much as I did because the New York session moves so much more volatile and there are much larger moves. So I'm doing the same thing with TopStep now, where I usually trade New York with my TopStep accounts. But now, like I said, with the changes with live with Tradeify, I'm looking to build up my float a little bit more on Tradeify. So I'm not going for those, $400 to $600 days anymore with those accounts. I'm actually looking for my $1,000 days plus. So I am looking to trade them on the New York session moving forward as well. So I'm already looking to take that a little bit differently. For those who don't know already, with their straight to funded accounts, yeah, their 20% consistency rule can be very hard to work with for many. And I think it really depends on your training style, what you're looking for again. So in the past with scalping and all that over Asia, London, it made sense to me. I can understand why trading New York can be very difficult because if you manage to catch a $2,000 to $3,000 day, a 20% consistency rule basically means that you'll need to make $15,000 on $3,000 higher highest day in order for you to get your payout. Um, and when your max payout per 10 days is 3K on an account or 3,500 depending on how long you've held the account for, I can see how unattractive that may be. Again, it all comes down to what your objective is. And so for me, My objective isn't going to be just simply to get those payouts right now with them, which obviously we all want to get paid out. I think that's important. But I am looking to build the float so that I have the ability to actually move as much of my funds to live in the future, especially if there's allowed multiple accounts at a time. So anyways, I just wanted to share that that's kind of been a shift for me. And then also with the straight to funded accounts, if you hit a certain percentage for the accounts, the drawdown actually isn't what's actually noted in the rules. So I'll give you an example just to be a little bit more clear. On the 100 and 50K straight to funded accounts, the drawdown breach is a soft breach is at $3,750, which is a lot, right? And then the max drawdown is 5,000, and that's assuming you start with a fresh account, right? Once for them, your profit target is $9,000. That's one of the requirements in order to get your payout. Now, actually, if you get your profits to 9,000, your $3,750 soft breach no longer exists anymore. As long as you hold that balance, I should say, probably. And basically what that means is, let's just say you are at $9,000 and you're starting a new trading day today. Not saying that you should have a drawdown of 9,000, but if you held a position and it went past negative, $3,750, you can continue to hold. It won't actually breach like it normally would. You can hold all the way to the point until you wipe your account out. And again, I'm not encouraging anyone to ever hold a position to that much drawdown, but the flexibility of knowing that when you hit that number, that your soft breach and your max drawdown is no longer there. I know for some people that is very attractive to them, especially if they trade very large size. It gives them the ability to size up. So again, hypothetically speaking, if your Tradeify account is at like $25,000 in a profit balance, right? Never would I think or would encourage anyone to use a $25,000 drawdown. But for whatever the reason, let's just say you were to full port 15 contracts on a trade, you could actually. You could when I say that because it just means that the drawdown is large enough for you to actually do that. Whereas if it was still $3,750, well, a full port 15 contract would mean you would breach by within 12.5 points of a move with which on New York session happens within a split second, right? So just that doesn't make sense. Um, so anyways, I just wanted to share that because that's just something that's been going through my head. I've shared some other videos as well about how I kind of take the markets with different prop firms. And so I'm sharing with you that every prop firm, every account that I have a purpose and I'm very intentional about how I take those trades. And so I recommend for yourselves as well, those who are new to this game, um, yes, you have your style of trading, go after that. But for those who are trading multiple different prop accounts and all that stuff, I think it's a good idea to have a strategy for how you trade them, just to ensure that you lengthen the life of those accounts for as long as you can, right? You don't want to blow those accounts. So again, for me, I trade multiple accounts because I have a two trade rule for each account. If I do take two losses on account, I move on to the next one. Just that way, it prevents me from blowing my accounts. And to be honest, outside of the initial inauguration, I'll call it, of the 4 months of figuring things out and blowing account after account. Most of my accounts have survived for quite long since my finding consistency for myself. So I think my methods have kind of helped me achieve that. Now, with that said, I'm just showing you, and sharing with you my top step and Tradeify, my thought points and all that. I did want to talk about the price action a little bit this past week and also what Friday represented. So I am going to pull this up a little bit here. I want to talk about Friday session in general. Let me move this window here. So on the Friday open, I know it got a little tricky. And so this was something actually I shared in the Discord as well. I'm going to blow this up first. This image right here represents this action as well. So I'm going to zoom in now just so you guys can see the image. Um, so at the open, what was worth watching? So I didn't take any trades. Again, like I said, I've been under the weather and I've really just kind of just been watching and taking notes. On Friday, although I was at my desk providing my opinions and updates on Discord, I didn't take anything just for the betterment of psychology. But there was a lot of clean opportunities. Well, maybe not clean in the sense of like clean moves, but if you were looking to scalp the market, based on the way that I trade, there were some scalping opportunities. Off the open, we saw ourselves, a short on this one would have been good. The reject of the opening print. And why I say that is because when this move happened, what happened was the wick actually wicked the VWAP spot, as well as the body closed or opened below the New York opening print. And so those who actually follow the rate trade system will know that the opening print is a very important spot to watch. And he's actually talked about this in YouTube videos before as well, and something that I absolutely always pay attention to. That would have been a clean short. Now, I wouldn't have shorted it immediately. I would have shorted through the break of the level here of the 25.6450. Reason being is that that level was a respective support if you look at the overnight session on the same day. And then, I mean, after taking your short, however long you would have held, I would have definitely sold before the channel. Now you could have held for more, but personally for me, I don't want to be a prick for a tick there. So I would have sold probably at the close of the candle here, and I wouldn't have pushed for more than that, knowing that there was a good chance of a bounce. Now, although I would have left that much meat on the bone, I would have been okay. Again, risk to reward on however you want to see your trades. Now, another good trade would have been the bounce of the channel. So on this candle here, you can see on the 2 minute, we did fail to go, well, I should say, we failed to go lower, but it was a doji. The second candle, though, would have been a good indication of strength. So this candle would have given me the indication to take a stab at longs here. Now, this still would have been a fairly high risk trade because if you look at the market this past week, it's just melted, right? And so it's fair to assume that this could have just been a fake out for a lower high that could have continued to the downside. Now, the reason why I would have considered this still good, though, is because of where it did fail to go lower. I'll explain a little bit about that when I zoom out into the chart a little bit more. The other thing is you can kind of see here again, we came back up to New York opening print again, and we once again rejected it. Same thing, we rejected the VWAP, and we also rejected New York opening print again. So it came back down, another good scalp trade here that could have been taken, if not on the first bar, then on the second bar. This was a very strong bullish candle that acted as a potential higher low that breached above the opening print. Now, I wouldn't have been so enticed to go for longs after this for a few reasons. Well, three, to be honest. I marked the Asia opening print because that's also important to me. You can see here that as we came up, we hit the 200 EMA, we hit the channel that was pre-marked already, and we hit Asia's opening print. That's three reasons of a wall. And so for me, that's not exactly something I would go long against. And so you can see also that we did respect and we pulled back again. Now, that was, where was this? With an opening that was like probably like first 15, 30 minutes or so. That was just my narrative. I know that sounds like a lot, but that was all that was running through my head during that first half an hour, right? And so that told me that there were different opportunities. And I think it's important to know, again, my personal opinion, I don't like to switch sides in the chart constantly throughout the day. I think mentally that becomes quite taxing, and I actually think that ends up making me do stupid stuff and chasing trades that may not actually make sense at all. I think for me, naturally, because of how the day was in general or the week was, being as bearish as it was, I naturally would have stuck to shorts and I would have scalped my shorts, right? Which essentially meant that the only trades I would have likely taken, in theory, would have been the short here, scalping here, and scalping there. I would not have taken these longs, even though there was a very valid reason, which I'll talk about later on, for this. You can build the case and say, you know what, there has been so much downside. Maybe there was some exhaustion here to be expected that we could have got longs off of. And I think that's a very valid case. And we'll talk about that as I go to the chart. So anyways, I zoomed into this because I want to provide the narrative, which isn't on my chart anymore, as you can see, because I did delete them already as I'm refreshing and preparing for the market that's coming up this week. I did leave all the channels and everything there and the levels because I want, just for the sole purpose of this trade review, I want to leave it there so we can kind of go over that. So again, you kind of saw the moves here, right? And so if you did take the aggressive entry here on the channel and held the longs, you definitely did catch a fairly good trade. And I say that because assuming that you entered aggressively here at 497, the height of it was 777. So, I mean, you're looking at north of 200-point move, right? So that's a very solid trade to the upside if you could have held that. Again, only way I would have been able to hold this, assuming if I even had intentions of going long, would have been playing a single contract trade because I don't think I could have held through this volatility with more than one. Again, personal opinion, right? You can kind of see though, right, that between the channels as well as levels, they were respected. And so as we moved our way back up, the channel on the upper level that I mentioned about resistance early on, you see that we resisted that time that I mentioned here again, again, right? But the moment we did breach above it, it became support. For those who trade support and resistance, this is a very good example of that, right? It came back. We respect the channel again for support, again and again and again. So you can see that those were opportunities there to scalp. Now, I personally don't like to trade past 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Personal opinion, just because volume and action just usually isn't the most ideal. But you can see that those areas were, respected, right? And then later on in the day, you can see that once we breached below, we actually went all the way back down to which, guess what? The same channel that I mentioned earlier that would have been good for longs. Again, if you were to cut this, you would have been able to catch it from this channel all the way over here again. And from that point on, again, we had some resistance. You could have shorted that same channel, that level that I was referring to earlier. This is a mastermind level. If you would have been able to take longs, you would have been rewarded, as you can see, as we moved all the way up to the next channel. I think that you've heard of, again, if you're familiar with the system, the concept of level to level. I think the concept of level to level absolutely also applies for when I reference channels, right? And so it really depends. Obviously, there's so many ways you can trade. I don't think there's one silver bullet and going away about it. But as you can tell, this is what I meant when I said clean. I know it was very choppy, but when I say clean is when you zoom out and you think about what was the chart trying to do, there were some trades to be taken if you had the patience to see it through. And so anyways, so there's that. Now, I did talk about the fact that it's been a pretty ugly week. So let's just zoom out to the 4 hour time frame just so that you can kind of actually see, how bad it's been. So you can tell at the start of the week, we were up. Where were we? So we were with this Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. So we started here and we basically went from what, 21,742 all the way down here. So what is that? Like a 1,300 point move to the downside. So I mean, the market melted off this week. I didn't follow the news again. I'm still kind of catching up and recovering here, but that's quite volatile. And so as of right now, in no means are we saying that we are in the clear in any way or form. We can easily have been putting in a lower high here for continuation to the downside. So I don't know what to expect on the week just yet. I will take a look and I'll rechart everything. I'll be ready for anything. And the reason why I know a lot of people like to post watch lists on like Sunday and prepare for the following week. I don't like doing that. And the reason being, and it's because I trade Asia so much, I could sit here right now and say, hey guys, I think it's gonna go, it's gonna come back down with a lower high and sink some more. But what if the Asia opening on Sunday opens all the way up here? I mean, well, my trade thesis could be completely invalidated at that point, right? So, anyways, that's the reason why I don't send a weekly watch list and why I don't talk about that either. I do kind of take it day by day. I will chart a bias of what I believe the chart will do, whether it's up or down. I'll be prepared for both ends of it. But depending on how Asia opens and London opens and then the New York session opens, that will really kind of dictate for me how I want to take the trades during those sessions. So anyways, I hope that adds some value into, how I trade, what I look for, how I would have traded honestly Friday if I did go in there. But anyways, hopefully that adds some value there for you guys. I'm looking to get back on it for the month of March here. I don't want to rush anything, but I am not trading too much in March because I am on vacation for half of it. So we'll see what we can get. I don't think it's realistic for me to shoot for another 50K PNL month in March. So if I can even get 25K PNL month, that'd be amazing. So we'll see what the market has to offer. Either way, us as traders are there to interpret what the market's trying to do and capitalize on those moves, right? So if you like this, if you have any other questions or comments, please drop a comment in below. Drop a like as well. It means a lot to me as I'm trying to build up my channel and kind of share my journey with everyone. If you haven't already, click the subscribe. It means a lot to me as well. Until next time, I will see you around. Take care, guys.